know by now, inside of Outcome Memories, every single character has their own custom theme and changes during Last Man Standing. Each theme is drastically different from each other. So in this video, we're going to be ranking every single theme from worst to best. Now since everyone's opinions may or may not be different, instead of doing it from like worst to best, we'll be doing it from like D tier to S tier. We'll also be including Blaze's and Shadow's solo theme because they are finished as well. But make sure to like and subscribe for more content with this, and let's begin. Starting us off in B tier, I am putting Cream's Last Man Standing, Team Time Waltz. Now honestly, some of you might like this theme, but in my opinion, it sounds a little too bland. I much preferred the older version of it, which had a lot more metal, but this one is still really good for what the context is. You have to remember, Cream is technically only a 6-year-old, and she's fighting a god deity who just murdered all of her friends. So you know, not the best situation to be in. But when it does come to the Last Man Standing, she does actually have some changes that make her better. During Last Man Standing, she is able to heal herself, and her cooldowns are significantly reduced, basically turning her from a healer to a survivalist. I also find it interesting how long the Last Man Standing is, because it's pretty long for a character who can't stun. But also, you might actually like this music because it does match Cream pretty well, since the fact that you're running away from his beast, and yet you're just this tiny thing trying to escape. It is one of the shorter ones, but the music does have a lot of high notes and low notes, and its background music is really good. It honestly puts you in the mood of you might be small, but you still have a lot of power to give in. It is also surprising how the character itself can actually survive more than one hit from the EXE. Just saying. Now also coming inside B tier, we have Friends No More Round 2, which is Tails' last theme. During Last Man Standing for Tails, his arm cannon instead of a 45-second cooldown becomes a 15-second cooldown, and his abilities just use a lot quicker and are just better in general. Friends No More Round 2 is honestly a pretty good song, but I just feel like a lot of the other ones are just way better. Also, it doesn't have lyrics, which can or cannot sway how good it is. I find it very interesting how it starts off kind of slow and immediately goes into rock and roll, which is pretty dope for the character. Remember, for context, basically Sonic is like the older brother of Tails, and now you're fighting a demonic version of him trying to attack you. Hence the name Friends No Longer. The song also has a lot of high and low points, and basically at 2:21, it plays the beginning of the song again, but it's a lot more crazier, and it feels like the ending is coming very soon, which it does. This song also works for the fact that technically Tails is the smartest survivor out of all of them, including Eggman, but he is pretty weak on his own. So this is him basically fighting for himself and saying, I have to do this for myself and my friends. And while doing this in the process, he's firing laser beams every 15 seconds, which just obliterate the EXE to oblivion. This is definitely a really good song for coming in Outcome Memories, but I feel like it doesn't come close to the other ones just for how much emotion the other ones give. But I also gotta say, the shredding in the background is also amazing. The amount of parts where it speeds up, slows down, goes hard, downtown, wow. Coming up next is actually the first A tier song, which I'm putting Damsel in Distress, which is Amy's LMS. Inside of Outcome Memories, some songs do have the lyrics while other ones don't. This one kind of does, but it is still a really good song. Basically, Damsel in Distress is for a fact in the original game where she comes from, Sonic CD, she technically has to be saved by Sonic. But now inside of this, she's fighting a demonic version of Sonic. And the metal and rock in the background absolutely fit this, because she's no longer just a little kid who can't help herself, and is now fighting for her life with an incredibly broken kit, mind you not. Like the fact that you have 2 different stuns, different cards that can just heal you. This is literally the dev saying basically, you are really screwed if you get Amy to Last Man Standing. Because no longer is a damsel in distress, nah, the EXE is the damsel in distress at that point. Like if this was pre-nerf Amy, the EXE would be running from her type of thing. But I also gotta say, the song really reminds me of power metal at the very end for how fast the music goes, but also how much it still matches Amy's personality. When she has to, she can definitely pull her work, and the song definitely brings that out for her. Gotta say, the song low-key reminds me of Dragon Force, and you know, perfectly matches the character. But we're on to the next one. Coming up next in A tier, you might not agree with me on, but I generally think Dead or Alive for Metal Sonic definitely works. Now remember, during the Last Man Standing for Metal Sonic, instead of a 50% damage reduction, he has a 75% damage reduction. His abilities also do a lot less damage to himself and stun the EXE for a lot longer. Low-key, the music itself feels like you're inside Radical Highway or something and you're having a straight rundown with the EXE. Metal Sonic, I can confidently say, is the only character in this game that can fight any of the EXEs with this music and absolutely throw hands, because that's basically his whole job. Metal songs aren't really meant to get to Last Man Standing. So you know when you're hearing this song as an EXE, they are ready for a fight. Now, most of the song is really good. For some points that aren't really the best, it feels a little like lacking, but it still does not make up for a fact from the context and how you actually play it. Now, if you ever add dual last man standings, would love to see Starved and Furnace versus Eggman and Metal Sonic, but hey, that's just a suggestion out there. But also, the reason why the song is called Dead or Alive is because one of the original sayings for Metal Sonic was basically he wanted to find Sonic and either get him dead or alive. Go figure. And the fact inside of the song, it just starts getting higher and higher at the end, makes it peak perfection. You know, if Neo Metal becomes a survivor inside the game during Juggernaut game mode, they better make a power core version of Dead or Alive, because the song is perfectly made for that. But with that, we're on to the best songs inside of the game. So far, that's been about 4 of the songs. Now we actually have 5 more that are all going in S tier. Remember, inside of S tier, except for first place, none of these are ranked in any specific order. So we're starting off with Feel the Fury. When you hear Feel the Fury, you know you are throwing hands for your life and the sake of all of your friends' life. It's basically the final stand of I might have messed up by not saving them, but I'm not going down without taking you down with me. Knuckles' LMS is literally, I will fight until I can't fight no more, and you literally do. During the Last Man Standing, nothing has really changed inside of his kit, but for good reason, for a fact that he has 2 stuns. His stuns are pretty long, and he can glide. This is also the first song inside of a ranking that does actually have lyrics, and it goes hard. Not only does it capture Knuckles' theme from before in the old games, it also matches the lyrics perfectly. Feel the Fury. It also makes sense for his characters, because Knuckles is deemed to be very strong, but as you know inside the games, he's not really that wise with it, and you know, pretty hot-headed. But now, we're on to Knuckles' rivals inside of the first 2 games, and even now to this day. Breaking Free has gotta be one of the most peak songs inside of this game. The amount of emotion you get, especially because you're playing Sonic, is wild, especially since it's the longest in the game, clocking at 4:36, which is crazy since everyone else is like a minute shorter than that, and the fact that you actually take more damage. The reason why he takes more damage during his LMS is the fact that he feels guilty for everyone else dying while he's still left alive. Basically, Sonic's whole kit is, I shouldn't be the last one standing, that's for my friends to do, and I'll protect them no matter what. But with the message of breaking free, the music goes so hard, especially for his character, and the fact that it's not just crazy metal, it is honestly kind of calmer, but really matches Sonic's playstyle and personality. And for the line, hills are fading green, it's for a fact that technically when you're playing on hills, they are pretty dead. I mean, have you ever seen Hide and Seek Act 1? The place is a fireball. But the lyrics are also meant in tow for a fact that he's trying to break free from the game, but he's basically lost everything inside the process. If you really do a deep dive into the lyrics, you can see a lot of the hidden emotions and different features you might have not realized it before, but they are perfect. But also a part where it says breaking at the seams, because remember, inside of Outcome Memories, it was created by the Outcome King, or supposed Outcome King. So technically everything is kind of broken since most of it is technically game code. I mean, look at 2011 next when he disappears. He just poofs into code. I always like to picture Sonic's LMS as an LMS to end all other LMSs. But there are a few more that I do prefer particularly more, but it is still an S tier and definitely the best inside of the game, depending on who you ask. But now, we're on to the first one that isn't actually in the game right now, but is official and confirmed. Next one is Vainglory and Bravado, which is Shadow's LMS. Shadow's LMS has so much emotion inside of it, especially for the fact that you can literally hear, instead of Shadow singing the song, it's Maria. If you don't know who Maria is, which, how, that's basically when Shadow was first created 50 years ago, it was his friend. But basically her and Gerald Robotnik, his creator slash father, both died. And since Shadow's the last man standing, that's basically her ghost just telling him to keep moving on forward and keep going. Basically saying no matter what you are or what you came from, you have to win this for not only her sake, but everyone else's souls. I mean, he is the ultimate life form, and if he doesn't succeed against this faker known as 2011 X, how much of an ultimate life form is he? It is also a pretty long LMS. I'm pretty sure matching or just slightly shorter than Sonic. But I assume Sonic will most likely be the largest inside the game just for character-wise. But as of right now, we don't really know how many buffs he gets inside of LMS, and we don't really know what his cooldowns are yet, but we do know he has a Glock and he has the dash from a TD, so you know, he's gonna be doing some crazy stuff. Yes, nothing I love more than escaping a giant murderous demon with an LMS, getting inspiration from your dead friend, and pulling out like an AK-47. Peak cinema right there, I'm telling you. And although Shadow might be the ultimate life form, the next song comes from the ultimate survivalist inside of the game. And believe me, he has a master plan. Coming up next in S tier is by far the best song inside of Outcome Memories that doesn't have lyrics, and in my opinion the second best in the game, which is the Cracked Empire for Eggman. By the way, did you get the joke, Cracked Empire? Cause he's an egg? This theme is so good for the amount of undertone it has from different songs from Eggman, and for the fact of the message it brings. Remember, even though we're all escaping EXEs, Eggman is a pure survivalist and doesn't really actually care about the rest of survivors. When he gets to LMS, it's practically him saying, oh well, I guess it's up to me again. Then again, you have seen the clips where someone's getting choked down in front of him and he's just hitting an emote. He is really only just continuing to be the survivors just to help out his greater plan. And technically the only survivor he really cares about is Metal. Beside the Cracked Empire, it's basically Eggman saying, I got the master plan, I can do this. And believe me, he can. For the amount of busted ability he has on most maps, once Fleetway and stuff comes out, he will definitely be a weaker survivor, but against 2011X, he counters the entire kit. But the song also matches his personality for the fact that he is tech savvy, especially in his kit. Because think about it, he has a double jump because he uses air boots, he has a jetpack which allows him to run forward, and he has an energy shield which can literally block himself. He is a true mechanic. It also sells some undertones from the Death Egg soundtrack and the final boss of Sonic Mania, which is low-key good, and I'm pretty sure it has a few more, but I'm not really in-depth with Sonic music, so you gotta tell me down below. Now, not to mention at the end, the creator of the music went absolutely wild with the shredding. It gets so good at the end, you really think Eggman's about to start squaring out the EXE, which I mean, he kind of can, because if you think about it, he is technically the second fastest Sonic character, and you know, he is really strong with... It is just absolute cinema of a song, but now we're going on to my personal favorite, and it's an upcoming one coming in version 0.2. The Soul Still Burns is Blaze's LMS for Outcome Memories. I'm pretty sure it originally was a UST, which is basically a fan-created song track, but it was so good the devs decided to make it a real one. The lyrics are absolutely amazing inside of it. The fact that it just starts off with absolute banger, you just get right into the song. But the song's lyrics and meaning has a lot more, especially when it says, when all stars have died, a lone flame can burn bright, basically meaning that even though she's the last one, she still has a lot of effort to beat the EXE. And when she says that her fire is her right and is divine, basically saying that you can't take away what's hers. Even though everyone else is already dead, she still has her firepower and she'll use it to beat the EXEs. And if you've seen her kit, she definitely uses the fire, either using flame kits, throwing spears of flame, or just turning into a literal fireball and just destroying them. I gotta say, I will definitely be maining her when she comes out. But not to mention, even though the middle of the song doesn't really have any lyrics and stuff, it still has some faint undertone of lyrics, and the music just really feels like you are trying to survive and run for your life no matter what. You're basically the last part of a Soul Empire, and you are not going down without a fight. And it is a fight she definitely gives. And then what makes the soundtrack even better is once you get to the very end, it actually starts playing the drowning theme, or a hint of it, and it matches really well. This happens because the match is about to end and just starts going super fast because it's saying, you gotta escape now. I also like it because it's one of the only songs that actually has a switch up in its complete beat, going from a Soul Still Burns to basically just get out of the map. It is absolute peak cinema and is my personal favorite, including the other 4, all belonging in S tier. But with that is all 9 OSTs ranked inside of Outcome Memories. Now, if you're wondering why I didn't rank Silvers, it's for the fact that it is a teaser, and I almost did the UST one on accident, because I honestly prefer that one a lot more than the original. But comment down below what you think. You also might have other opinions in mind, but I honestly generally find this is probably the most common opinion, just because of how good the songs are. But anyways, that's going to be for today's video. Make sure to like and subscribe. Hope you all liked and enjoyed, and I'll see you all later.